How's everybody today? I see folks everywhere, but I see a few missing seats there. Everybody okay?
Pretty good.
Good. Well, we're going to finish up week 4 today by looking at chapter 6 and talk about how we can make our messages more readable. I think this chapter shows you some of the misunderstandings you may have had about business reports and business letters and so on in the past, and maybe make it a little bit easier for you to write these types of communication. We're going to find out that using big words is not always the best thing. Long sentences are not always the best thing. So actually what we want is to, in the business world, is we want our messages to be as easily understood as possible. So I'm going to share the screen and take a look at our intro video first of all. And we are on the second half of this, so yeah, of course, the second part in week 4. See it. Closed captioning up here.
I'm Pete Carden, the author of your textbook. Today we'll talk about why writing style and design matters, and I'll get to example. A lot of people, when they hear they're going to have a lesson on writing style, they're looking for. I can't promise you this chapter will be a page-driven reading, but I can promise you that the principles of this chapter will help you reach your work goals. In fact, I think if you adopt the perspective that writing style is a tool for you to connect better with your colleagues and clients, you'll find this topic much more fascinating. The primary goal of most style issues for business writing is to make your message easy to read. Business professionals are bombarded with so many messages that for you to have impact, your writing must be easy to read. You want your audiences to move right through your message. You want them to easily remember your message later on. You'll read roughly 15 principles in this chapter. These principles fall under several major goals. First, all of your writing should be complete, provide all relevant details, and ensure that you are accurate and specific. Second, all of your writing should be concise. Few people will pay attention to your messages if you waste their time. Third, all of your writing should be natural. That is, it should be easy for your readers to process in their mind. Finally, your writing should be designed so that readers can easily locate key pieces of information. You should generally anticipate that many of your readers will skim your messages, searching for information most of interest to them. By making your messages easy to navigate, you ensure that skimmers will respond favorably to your message. So this is my challenge for this chapter. Take the time to get it right. It does take extra time to go back over your messages and make sure the style and design are good. But this small time investment is well worth the results.
Okay, so again, the author emphasizes that your business messages should be easy to read, okay? You're not trying to put as many words as you can into them or use big words. You want to accomplish whatever you're trying to do. You want the reader of the message to understand what you need and be able to get it done. So we're going to focus in on the ease of readability. So we get to the PowerPoints. And pull it up first. So you're pushing all the way out there. So give me a second to get back into the PowerPoint.
I haven't tried it on my laptop. You want me to try it now?
Okay, let's see if we can hit this. Okay, hopefully you've got some PowerPoints up there. Creating effective. That's chapter 5. Yeah, let's try again. We need chapter 6. What is that whistling sound? Do you hear it? It's just good.
Yes, every time.
Weird.
It's like,
You're hearing it?
yeah, I hear it every time I'm in here. I can't stand it.
Okay, now, let's see. Okay, we got chapter 6 up there for everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Took me a minute, but there we go. All right, so what we're going to try to accomplish today is we're going to look at some things that will help us make our writing easier to read. We'll look at completeness, conciseness, and natural processing. We'll look at using a proper navigational design. And then we'll look at the FAIR approach, F-A-I-R, that will help us make sure our reviewing is complete before we send out our messages. Okay. So 3 basic strategies that we're going to use in making sure that our writing, is easy to read. As far as completeness goes, we want to make sure we are providing all the relevant information, we are being accurate, and we are being specific. Okay, so we need to strategically write our message, but don't forget we start off with that planning stage first of all. We don't jump directly to the writing, and we also want to review before it's all over with. So when we're doing our relevant information, we want to make sure we are encompassing, bless you, all 3 of those. So ask yourself over and over, what information is necessary to help you get whatever you're trying to accomplish in your message done. Accuracy is going to be important because if your reader sees something that is not correct, then your entire message is no longer credible. Okay? Just one inaccurate statement can lead readers to just dismiss your entire message. And they may not even trust any of your communications in the future. So please check for accuracy. Here are some examples and how much of a big difference it can make. A statement that someone put in their message said, your store should spend roughly 30% of annual sales on advertising. And in reality, that was a typo. That 30% should have been 3%. That's a huge difference, 10 times the difference in the actual recommendation. So of course your revised version should say your store should spend roughly 3% of annual sales on local advertising. You might not have caught that typo if you left off the last stage, if you did not review what you were sending out before you actually sent. Okay, here's another one where someone actually read it a little more in detail. They caught an error. We estimate that you'll need an initial investment between $240,000 and $425,000, and it shows some calculations there. Actually, if you get into the calculations, you'll find that the figures are off by $100,000.
Ow.
A lot of money.
Ouch.
Yeah. So we estimate that you will need an initial investment of between $240,000 and $525,000 is the more effective way. So check your figures if you're including figures in your communications to make sure they are right. There's nothing more embarrassing than your boss coming up to you and saying, are you sure this is right? Or where'd you get these numbers from? Always check them out. It could easily be a typo or it could be a miscalculation. All right, the more specific you are, the more likely your readers are to have their questions answered. Okay, if you're not specific, they get impatient, they start skimming and looking for the information that they want. They may just trash your communication without even questioning what's going on, or they may have to send you a number of questions to figure out exactly what's needed from them. Okay, here's an example of a less specific statement. Once approved, new Sunrise stores can be opened quickly. All right, the word, and all of these are in your textbook if you can't read these on your PowerPoint slides as you're looking at them. They show up pretty well here in this section, but I'm not sure about the others. This one happens to be on page 173 in your textbook if you're trying to follow through. But the word quickly is not specific enough, okay? A more effective statement would say, once approved, new Sunrise stores can typically be opened in between 3 and 12 months. Okay? That is certainly more specific and gives an idea that possibly could be a little bit easier reacted to. The minimum store size is based on location. Typically, the minimum size is larger in strip shopping centers than in shopping malls. Again, the term larger is not specific. Okay? The better thing would be to actually state the number of square feet like they did in the second sentence. The minimum store size is based on location. That sentence is fine. In shopping malls, the minimum size should be approximately 2,500 square feet. In strip shopping centers, the minimum should be about 3,400 square feet. So that leaves less room for interpretation of the word larger. So, all right, so be specific. And then the one that I find that people tend to misunderstand is that you should be concise. Omit needless words so that the ideas can be processed quickly. Okay? We're going to talk specifically about how long your paragraph should be, how long your sentences should be, how we can avoid redundancy, which is saying the same thing over in different words. We're going to look at avoiding empty phrases and avoiding wordy prepositional phrases. And all of these, things that I have struggled with myself in my writing. So, you know, I want you to understand that this is a learning process, and we're taking what you've learned and putting it in a business context. It's not necessarily what you would use in a term paper, for instance, if you're in an English class. This is totally different. All right, so as far as the first one goes, your paragraph length of the textbook is really good about giving you some specifics here. They tell you that long paragraphs mean they are disorganized and even can be disrespectful to the reader's time. 40 to 80 words should be in a paragraph. Routine messages will see 20 to 30 words. Okay, so notice the next example. There is a paragraph that was written, and that paragraph contains 168 words. Okay, also has a lot of numerical figures in it. Okay, that entire paragraph of 168 words could be redone or edited for conciseness and divided into two paragraphs. One paragraph has 80 words and the other one has 44 words. So altogether, not only does it have 30 fewer words, but the information has been separated so that it makes it more easier to read and comprehend. Shorter sentences are easier to comprehend. Average sentence length should be 15 or fewer words. Okay? This is going to help you avoid a lot of run-on sentences, which I see students having a lot of problems with. Just keep that 15-word limit there in your mind. And if you're using Microsoft Word, there's a word count that can tell you how many words you have in an entire paper, in a selected portion of your paper or whatever. I've used it many, many times. So look at sentences here that have 32 words being condensed down to a sentence that has 14 words, and they say exactly the same thing. Less effective, our brand is strongly recognized among our customers and is associated with positive characteristics such as quality and reliability, and our customers associate these qualities with the special occasions in their lives. All of that could be more succinctly be said to our customers. Our brand represents quality products and help them celebrate special occasions. So less than half the length of what it was before. Okay. So there's a little graph that says average word and the comprehension rate. You can see that the more words your sentence has, then your comprehension starts to drop off. So try to keep your sentences under 20 words. Okay. Redundancy is when you're saying the same thing with a different set of words. Here we have an example. To help you reach your goals, we provide you with the products and resources to succeed. You really said that reaching your goals and succeeding, they are redundant words. They mean the same thing, so it's not necessary to say that. Just condense your sentence here. So we provide you with the products and resources to succeed. 10 words, says the exact same thing. The other one, we organize a fun-filled annual retreat each year for store owners and managers to share and discuss problems, solutions, and opportunities with one another. There's a lot of redundancies in that statement. First of all, annual and each year. They mean the same thing. Okay, so you don't have to say them twice. share and discuss problems, etc., with one another. Well, of course, with one another and sharing and discussing and are saying pretty much the same thing there. So rewrite that sentence to, we organize a fun-filled annual retreat for store owners and managers to share and discuss problem solutions and opportunities. You don't need the words each year, and you don't need the words with one another. So you've gone from 24 down to 19 words in that sentence. Empty phrases. I think students sometimes tend to put phrases in just so they can up their word count or meet their page limits or whatever. And it really,
I said never.
Never? You've never done that? Yeah, right.
Never.
Oh, sure. Well, what you really should get used to in a business context, nobody is physically counting your words to see if you make a certain limit. Nobody's seeing how many pages anything is. What you want to do is to get your message across easily and quickly. So the first statement, needless to say, the profitability of a store depends on many factors. Well, it's not necessary to say needless to say. If it said needless to say, then you wouldn't have to say it at all. So just say the profitability of a store depends on many factors. With all due respect, that's another empty type phrase. They just drop that all together and go from 16 down to 12 words. All right, wordy prepositional phrases. Again, these are extra words that you can eliminate to make things a little bit more easy to read. Just by simply converting some prepositional phrases into single word verbs, you can cut your sentences down by 30 to 40% in the number of words. And here's an example. In an effort to maximize your profitability as a Sunrise owner, you should be in attendance at each annual retreat. Those things that are italicized there, those are little phrases that are just wordy. They're not adding anything to the meaning of the sentence. You'd be better off just to say, attending the annual Sunrise retreat helped you maximize profitability. That in an effort to maximize, that's very wordy. Okay. In the business planning process, please keep in mind that at Sunrise, we are here for you. Lots of in those, okay? Easier or better said would be, please remember that we will help you with business planning. Okay, went from 17 down to 10 words. All right, natural style, okay? And these are some of the things that I struggled with even when I was writing my dissertation. I had to constantly remind myself to use action verbs, to use an active rather than a passive voice, short and familiar words and phrases, parallel language. We'll tell you what that is in just a second there. Avoid buzzwords and figures of speech. Here's one that we got called on quite a bit. Avoid it is or there are. If you start a sentence off that says it is or there are, you need to just go back and revise their sentence already. All right, so find nouns that you can convert into action verbs in order to move into the action verb text, and find forms of the verb to be and convert them into action verbs. So let's look at a couple examples here. We have made an estimate that you will need an initial investment of between 290,000 and 605,000. We have made an estimate. Just say, we estimate that you will initially invest, instead of you will need an initial investment of, you're changing it to a verb there. Now, I'm not sure. I think they just had a typo there with the numbers. I don't think they were actually correcting the numbers, but the main thing is they are changing these nouns, an estimate, to a verb. We estimate. And an initial investment of, to initially invest. Sunrise is a company with excellent customer service. Okay, sounds like a good sentence to me, but what you really want to do is to get rid of that is and turn it into a more active verb type. Sunrise provides excellent customer service. Okay, so rather than using the noun, use the verb, the action verb. Okay, active versus passive voice. You always want to write in an active voice, and that is you want the doer to be the subject and then have a verb and an object. Whereas in the passive voice, you have the object as a subject, and therefore you have two different verbs and then the doer on the end. Okay, and here's the difference. Sunrise provides free training for up to 3 people for each new store. That's an active voice. There is your subject, sunrise, provides, which is your verb, and then there's the object, the free training. Passive voice would be kind of turning around saying free training is provided for up to 3 people for each new store. That's too many words. We want to get away from that passive voice because we're focusing in on the doer. We want the doer to be the first thing that it's seen. That makes it so people can process the information faster. It also puts it in a business context as it's specifying who the doer is. So again, we have a less effective passive voice example here. A marketing plan, budgeting plan, and break-even analysis will be provided to you with your active participation. When you see that will be provided, that's passive voice, okay? And you can write in the beginning, see that the subject is not being mentioned first up. So more effective would be Sunrise will work directly with you to create a marketing plan, budgeting plan, and break-even analysis. So the doer is Sunrise, and the construction of those sentences is definitely more business-oriented because it shows you what the company is actually planning to do with you. And I think they give another one because this is one of those things that gets people into trouble a lot. A less effective passive voice example would be an analysis of your chosen location will also be provided that includes demographics, traffic patterns, competitors, and a related analysis will be given. So once again, you're seeing those will be's. That indicates that you've used the passive voice. A more effective active would be Sunrise will use its well-developed formula for analyzing the demographics, traffic patterns, and so on. And then once again, Sunrise will also provide you. Just think about who's the doer. Put the doer up front. Let's see. And here's one where you're looking at a bad news type situation where the passive voice might actually be better. The less effective active said, since you did not meet the financial criteria, we have denied your application for a Sunrise franchise. That might be active voice, but it's focusing in on the failure of the reader. This case may be better off with a passive voice. Since financial criteria were not met, you see, it's not pointing the individual out as failing. Your application was not accepted. Again, active voice might be perceived as being like you're issuing an order to someone, or the person is not smart enough to understand what you're requesting, so it may be better to use the passive voice without implying that the reader is stupid. Whenever possible, choose short, conversational, and familiar words using longer, less common words. Slows down the processing and can distract from your message. Okay, you may have been taught to try to use some big words that you learned in English class or something of that sort, but in business communication, you're not trying to prove that you are smarter than somebody else. You're trying to get whatever it is you need accomplished. So use the smaller, shorter words. Sunrise advocates that you seek consultation with us during the application process. Okay? Big words, advocating consultation. Better, Sunrise suggests that you seek our advice during the application process. Just much more easy to comprehend that second statement than the first statement. And parallel language means that you're using consistent grammatical patterns. So if you've got a series or a list of things, you want them to be in the same grammatical pattern. Okay, here we have something that's different. Our customers are refined and purchase high-end products. Okay, they're two different characteristics. One's an adjective and one's a verb object. Okay, more effective. Our customers are refined and upscale. They're both adjectives. Or you can use them both verb objects. Our customers appreciate refined craftsmanship and purchase high-end products. But you want to keep them in the same format. Sunrise will work directly with you to create a marketing plan, develop a budgeting plan, and break-even analysis. I see this a lot. You've got create, you've got develop, and then you don't have anything to go with that break-even analysis. Sunrise will work directly with you to create a marketing plan, budgeting plan, and break-even analysis by eliminating the second verb there. Or you could say Sunrise will work directly with you to create a marketing plan, develop a budgeting plan, and set up a break-even analysis, not just and break-even analysis. All right. Don't distract your readers with overused or out-of-place words or phrases. Terms that you use in your workplace, of course, every workplace has their own terminology sometimes, but some of the things that we use are overused, okay, and become trite. They can also create negative feelings among some readers. Figures of speech sometimes have non-literal meanings, and they're usually also considered inappropriate in business writing. Here are some buzzwords that have become the most annoying. They have been used over and over and over again. Leverage, reach out, It is what it is. Viral, game changers, disconnect, value add, circle back, cutting edge. At the end of the day, synergy, solution, think outside the box. On the same page, customer centric, do more with less, downsizing, overwork. Okay, I know you have seen quite a few of those and maybe even used some of them way too often. I know when I was writing my dissertation, one of the professors just quickly said, if I see another dissertation that says, in this global era, everything was in this global era. Well, globalization was a hot topic at the time, but everybody was overusing it. So you had to come up with ways to make people not go, not again. Okay? Here's another one that I learned the hard way about, and that is to avoid it is and there are. Any sentences that begin with it is or there are really failing to provide a subject. Usually have more words than necessary. Not being specific. It is, well, what is it? There are, well, who are there? I mean, just really very strange. So here's a lesson. There are many reasons for owning a Sunrise store. There are. You know, what you really wanted to say was owning a Sunrise store has many benefits. It is wonderful to see happy customers day in and day out. You don't really need the it is. Seeing happy customers day in and day out is wonderful. It is great. Well, what is it? Great to be in a line of business where there are, as got twice in there are such extremely loyal customers. Just say, in this line of business, customers are extremely loyal. All right, now there are some things that you can actually do with the design of your writing to make your message easier to navigate. You can use headings, highlighting, lists, use white space or just plain simplicity. With headings, you're able to identify key ideas where a reader can jump to specific areas of interest. You can use headings and subheadings, but be consistent in your font style and your formatting. If you want to highlight ideas or phrases, you can use bold lettering, italics, or underlining, But be careful not to overdo that. If you do, your main ideas won't stand out. For instance, in this first sentence here, every single word is italicized. Well, if the whole sentence is italicized, then nothing is really highlighted. Instead, you would italicize only the short phrase that you're trying to highlight. Now, the next one is a case where they have both bolded and underlined. That's overbearing. That's two formatting features being used together. You'd be better off to use one or the other. In the case here, they just chose to use the bold, and that's sufficient enough to highlight. All right, this one is an example of how you could take a really long paragraph. First of all, I'm almost like tempted to just close this because it's so long and I don't feel like I have time to read it. But you can be more effective with either a bulleted list or a numbered list. The reader is more likely to actually be able to visualize what's going on. So here's the same information, showing some examples of numbers and bulleting. So it makes it much, much easier to focus in on. And I cannot emphasize enough, once you construct your message, please make sure that you are reviewing it, okay? Do what we call a FAIR test, and we'll tell you what the FAIR stand for on the next slide here. Proofread. That's how you catch those typos and misspellings and things. And then get feedback. Okay, the FAIR test, the F stands for facts. So you're looking at your message and you need to make sure that message, if the facts are right, your assumptions are clear, make sure you haven't made any logical errors in the facts or whatever. The A stands for access. Have you granted enough access to your recipients in order for them to make a decision or provide input, or do you have some kind of hidden agenda going on? The I stands for impacts. Have you actually thought about how the message is going to impact the stakeholders? Look at how your message would be interpreted from ethical, corporate, and legal perspectives. And then R for respect. Make sure you demonstrate respect for other people's feelings and thoughts, well-being, and show that you value them. So our takeaways, again, we want our principles to include completeness, conciseness, and natural processing. We want to use appropriate navigational design so that things flow correctly. And then don't forget that all-important reviewing stage. Reviewing stage again. Okay? Yes. All right. So a little bit early, let's take our break, come back, and I'm going to show you some examples of messages that I have gotten, and I'm going to let you pick them apart and see what you think about them. Have they followed the principles there? What do you think about whether the writer of the message actually followed any kind of design, or whether they reviewed their material before they submitted it? So let's come back at 3 o'clock, and we will take some real life examples and deal with them. Chapter 6 here. Before we look at, oh, wait a minute. I'm not seeing anything up here.
I don't want to leave.
Okay, before we get going into some specific examples, I've got a couple of little videos, little short ones that will show you kind of summaries in different people's viewpoints of what we've covered in class today. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to pause the recording. These are on your Blackboard page, but just in case we get into trouble with any of the copywriting, I don't want that to happen. Of each of those ingredients, and the way we do that is to look at our audience and see what's correct for them. Okay, I'm going to share this one and pause the recording once more. Got the recording back and going on here. So we have looked at the fundamentals of making your writing easier to read. Okay, and again, this is in a business context. Your reader needs to act upon the message that you are giving them. I have selected a few emails that I have received in the past, and I want you all to pick them apart and tell me, are they following these tools or not? Okay, tell me what's right and what's wrong about them. Okay, so I'm going to move over to those, and some of them are from students, some of them are from colleagues. There are no names attached to any of them. So I don't think any of you should worry that I have put an email up here from you, okay? Or if I have, the name is disguised so you cannot see it. So
I'll talk to it.
let me get to some of these. And again, the next chapter we're doing is going to focus in specifically on emails. So you may actually see something that might carry over into the next one. Now, what I'm going to do is larger. Scoot it up so we're only looking at one at a time. Let me put that in there so you're only looking at one. All right. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't copy the subject lines and so on because they had people's names in them and so on. But and I think all of these that I have are pretty good examples of being brief. So you students, when you email, you're pretty good at being brief. But the problem is, are you getting everything you need to in those emails so that I can act on it? Remember, we want to have our communications be complete, and we also want to review them so there aren't any mistakes, and we don't want to have a lot of extra stuff. Okay. This is an email that I got from a student. It was a student who was trying to schedule a proctored test. And tell me what you think about it. Can y'all read that okay? All right, it's big enough to read. Thank you, I called, and the CEC. Okay, wait a minute, I got a problem here. Thank you, I called, and the CLC, and they are open until 8 p.m. I'm taking this class while working a 48-hour work week. All right, what do you think about that? It's brief.
There's some words in the second sentence that could be removed. Just at a glance. It could just say, thank you, the CLC is open till 8 p.m.
That's right. Okay.
It is.
Actually, that sentence doesn't make sense the way it's written, does it? Thank you, I called, and the CLC, and they are open until 8 p.m.
That's me. That's not, honestly, that's not me, but that's what I was like. That's
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because we don't know if she's referring to those like actual.
email it.
Was a student who said, he had emailed me about having an exam proctored, and they said, I'm going to take the exam Thursday afternoon. And I emailed them back and I said, just make sure they're open, that summer hours are sometimes shorter than regular semesters. So they had been given instructions ahead of time to tell me when, where, and the time that they were going to take. Okay, so evidently this one followed my instructions. They called the CEC to see when they were open. Okay, but that sentence doesn't make sense. So my thought is that they probably didn't review that sentence, right? That first one. What about that?
The second sentence is not really necessary information.
That's right. You know, I dare say that that just about everybody that's taking my classes is probably doing some work too. And the person signed up for the class, so they kind of knew they were working and taking the class at the same time. The fact that they're working a 48-hour work week, I mean, what does he want me to do with that, or she want me to do with that? She doesn't like, do you need an extension on something? Do you need to drop the class? You know, it's a statement that I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with. Am I just supposed to feel sorry? Am I supposed to, you know, say a prayer for this person?
Yes.
You know, it just leaves me hanging. So I always say, take a step back and read your.
Please pray for me.
It makes sense from the perspective of somebody
that would be
receiving it, not the person who is giving. You know, and I'm not opposed to reading about somebody working a 48-hour work week. If that is a factor for you, is there something you need me to do with it? Don't just leave me hanging there. Okay, let's go to another one. Insert a page right there. So. All right, this is an email. So are you just going to email SBCC, or do you need any more information?
What's it talking about?
All right, tell me what's good and tell me what's bad.
It's not specific. I guess.
Got a word gonna in it? It's not a word.
Oh yeah, gonna.
Gonna is, and you can see that when I put it in Word, it underlined it like something was wrong with it. Gonna is not a word, right?
I didn't even realize because I use it in text messages.
Are you going to be more appropriate? So are you just gonna email SBCC, or do you need any more information? Okay, I think it's good that it asks me, do they need me to give them more information in order for them to proctor the test? It is kind of rude.
Yeah, like the sorry,
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I read it out loud.
And sometimes the reader might not think it's rude, but when you, the writer might not think it's rude, but when you're reading it, it may come across that way.
Yeah. Do you need more information? Like,
So are you just gonna? How about the just? You could have taken. Are you just gonna email SBCC?
Are you going
Yeah, like get up off your butt and do whatever you need to do is what it sounds like. So
I don't take it that way, but
and that's how we take things differently. Some people might be offended or might see it as rude, and others might not. But think about all audiences that might be receiving that, and if there's a possibility, you would want to revise that so that it was.
if I may, I think it's really good when you talked about going back and reviewing something before you send it and know your audience. We're in the habit today of texting our family members, so we keep it real short, real sweet. But the practice of being able to review an email that's being sent is really a good habit. That's what I'm learning.
I read one on Facebook a couple nights ago, and it was hilarious. It was a text message that person had sent, and y'all might have seen this. He sent it. It was a fellow who sent a text message to his neighbor, and he said, I have been over here just worried to death about this, and I feel like I need to confess to you that I have been using your wife. Yeah, okay. And the autocorrect on his phone had changed. He had meant to say Wi-Fi, instead of wife. But by the time the guy got the message, he went next door and shot him.
Oh,
But he sent the other message back saying, I guess you can see autocorrect changed Wi-Fi to white. So read what you send. And I get in trouble with autocorrect sometimes. I know I'm typing in a word and it changes it to something else, and it's just totally not it. So review before you hit that send button. You might have a bullet in your head. I hope not. Okay, let's see the next one. This one cracked me up. Oh, it was just a joke. Now, this one just came out of the blue.
What?
It did not have the class name attached to it, so I didn't know what course the person was in. And I really wasn't sure what it was saying. Hello?
Well, other than I like hello, I think that's a good way to greet. Other than, I mean, is it, but I like the fact, the part I like about it is hello, and can I still turn in my assignment? It would be nice to know what assignment and who they are, but I like the fact that it's to the point.
But listen to what it's actually saying. Hello, is it I can still turn my assignments?
Well, yeah, obviously.
What in the world does that mean? And quite honestly, what I did is I hit reply and I said, I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. I wasn't sure what they were asking, if they needed an extension, or what assignments in which class. And again, it's not a sentence that makes any sense.
Yes.
It's okay to say hello. Hi, I'm happy to hear from you. But it should have said, I am in your business communications online version or Zoom version class, and I was unable to turn in my assignments on time because of, give me a reason, and can I still turn them in, or would you please place an extension on them so I can turn them in, or something of that sort. But this one is one that was clearly not reviewed, right? It was, the button was pressed before they took it in. All right, now it was 3 students. Now, this is from actually a dean from several years ago. Okay, not my current dean. I don't want her getting it. She's really good about writing emails. But I always had problems with this one. This one, let's see if we can figure out any good and bad things. This is obviously an email that went out to all faculty. All right, I'm seeing looks like a lot of jargon that probably doesn't mean a whole lot to y'all. Anybody know what an APPDO is? Do you know what IDOL is? This one was a typical email. There's a grammar error there. We'll review them and schedule a meeting for signatures. Now, it's easy when you're typing email to misspell something, but again,
there's a lot of different points that are in this email.
Absolutely. That
would have highlighted it or bullet pointed these different things that would have been easier to look at and see and remember. The submitting the stuff electronically, the meeting that's coming up.
That was my number one problem with this particular dean's emails, is she would put one thing in the subject line, but buried in the email were 3 or 4 different things that she wanted us to do. Well, I might have opted not to even read the email if I thought the subject line was something that didn't pertain to me, and later on I found out it was all in that email. Okay?
Yeah.
She should either have sent, done like you said, put bullet points or number them or something, or maybe even send separate emails for each item of concern.
Right, the paragraph's not indented and it starts strange.
Yeah, it is very strange. And then when I get done, I'm still not real sure what I'm supposed to be doing other than printing out my certificate and putting it in her mailbox. And I guess I'm supposed to put March 19th on my calendar for a faculty meeting. And she did thank us. That was nice, but.
And I don't know who she is there's not a name,
Well, I took the names off of there.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't think it was fair to point fingers at anybody, so this is, I took them off, all of them, but her name was in the message, up in the to-from thing. So, again, I just want you to understand that it's not the students that make mistakes. Your colleagues can make mistakes too. Your bosses can make mistakes when they don't. This is just not a readable email. That's what I'm saying. It's got too much all lumped into one paragraph. It's using a lot of jargon and acronyms that, even I didn't know what IDOL was. I knew what an APPDO was, but I didn't know what an IDOL was.
Well, and I appreciate her, what she's, in reading this again in the sentences and what she's describing, to me is very clear. But now being able to see it in this paragraph form, I think she's assuming that you'll read every word and figure it out. It's not designed easy reading for the person who's reading it.
Exactly.
You have to really decode it to understand it.
So
it takes time to put it together in a format where you could understand it and remember it.
Maybe all the information was actually there, it just wasn't readable, and that's what we're really talking about in this chapter, is making sure that the reader is able to comprehend it. And more than likely, my eyes would have, honed in on maybe the things that were capitalized, and I might have looked at that date, but, I probably would have overlooked some of this.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we got one more. You might find this one. Greetings, colleagues. Again, this came out from someone else who worked at the college. I hope your semester is off to a wonderful start. As you may recall, SVCC has opted for a full sales rollout for fall 2014. You can tell this is an old one. As a result, every class will be a part of the sales early alert system. In an effort to facilitate ongoing training and support, the following sales webinars have been made available for faculty. I will send login information in a separate email. Please do not hesitate to contact me if you need additional assistance. And then there are listed the optional times for the webinars. And of course, there was a person's name on there as well. I thought this was fairly good.
Yep.
I do see a few extra words in there, like you didn't really need to say, as you may recall. And those are just extras.
Pleasant though. I know it's such a short email, but it gives it a pleasantness.
Yeah, not bad. The only thing that I can remember hitting me was at the time this email was sent out, I did not know what sales was. And it would have been much nicer if she had put in parentheses what that was, like student alert information system or something like that, whatever those letters stood for, so that I'd have a better idea. Now, of course, by reading this, you're seeing that I really wasn't supposed to know a whole lot because they're offering webinars to train us on this.
Right.
All right, but I do like the fact that those dates and times were pulled out separately. I didn't have to dig in there to find those.
Yep.
There was an offer, to contact the person if you needed assistance and so on. So other than the fact that there was an acronym used that some people may not know, I thought this was fairly good.
I have a question for you in an email like this. Would it be okay to have the top sentence and then the items that are in the second paragraph bulleted?
Sure.
For to see, in an effort, and then I will send the information in a separate email, and then bullet, please do not hesitate to contact me, so it draws the eyes to those.
You could do that. I am all for bullets and numbering. I think they make it much easier to understand the flow of things.
Yeah.
But as short as that one is, I think I'll probably be okay with it the way it is. Yeah. What do y'all think? Any other? I don't even have a problem with, I hope your semester is off to a wonderful start. That
I like it.
sets the tone, and
Yep.
I'm okay with that even.
I think it's perfect.
I do too. And I think the previous email, it would have been great if the guy that sent out the faculty had that sentence in there, might have had a whole different flavor to it.
Yep. All right. I think those were the ones that I have pulled out. And I think those, I tried to find some really good videos showing good and bad examples, but they're more geared towards the emails and the messages and so on. So they're specifically emails. So next week when we do chapter 7, I'll probably have some really good examples for you, because there's some hilarious ones out there where emails have been misinterpreted. So I challenge you to take a look at what comes in through your email, your text messages, even what comes in your mailbox, and just put a little judgment on some of them and see how maybe you could have made things better to understand from your viewpoint as the reader rather than the writer. So if you find anything really interesting this weekend, you will share it with the class. I would greatly appreciate it. So even text messages that you might get that hope nobody comes in after you use their Wi-Fi or whatever instead of their Wi-Fi. All righty. Anybody got any questions or comments about anything?
No, I could just say that I think it's really interesting when you look at an email and you know ones that work and you know ones that don't work, and you're being able to explain to us why they work and why they don't work.
It's something we just don't stop and think about a lot.
Yeah.
So again, my suggestion is before you hit the send button, step back and put yourself in the shoes of the reader. We got an email today. I won't even say who it's from. Let's just say that they earn a whole lot more money than I do. You talk about rude, they went out to everybody, all faculty. It wasn't pinpointed at any one person, but this one was clearly rude. There was no question whether it was rude or not.
Maybe they intended to be rude.
Yeah, I can't say anything. I said one of my colleagues sent a message to me saying, if I were close to retirement, I would have to reply to this. But I'm not close enough to retirement yet, so I'm not going to say anything. So stop and think about not only correctness, but think about the tone that's applied as well. So, Okie dokie, we will see you Tuesday. Make sure you're getting all the homework assignments done. And you all do realize that when you do those multiple choice questions, there's a check my work feature. It'll let you check it one time, and if it's wrong, you can change it. And after that, you can check it again, but it's not going to tell you whether it's right. So make sure you do that. All right, we will see you all.
Oh, they're due Sunday night, right?
Yes, midnight Sundays when everything is.
Night Sunday.
Oh my God, per question? What? I thought it was for the whole
No,
thing.
so did I. Live and learn. Live and learn.